Hey, hey, you know what time it is? Get into it! But real quick, I want y'all to hear something real quick. Hold on, hold on. One second. I was trying to get y'all to hear my neighbor Adam playing the piano. He's a wonderful pianist. It motivates me to get back to playing piano. I'm moving like I have my glasses on. I'm sorry. Maybe he'll play something a little later. He was just playing the piano. Hiya. It is story time with Chris. I'm gonna get these book tosses right. There we go. Alrighty then. Yes, I was up at 5:30 this morning. No, I don't hear it. Never mind. I was up at 5:30 this morning because unfortunately we had a power outage in Yellow Springs. A lot of businesses on Xenia Avenue, as well as even at my own house, had no power for several hours. I'm not just talking 2 or 3, I'm talking about 6 to 8 hours of no power, which is rather unfortunate. A lot of people had to close up shop early, which most people, I would imagine, would not plan for that, but like, it just wasn't. It was not giving what it was supposed to have gave, if that makes sense. So I had to help move a lot of product from our walk-in freezer to other parts of the hotel and make sure we're able to preserve our beer and wine and so on. So it was a very busy day. I had been at work at that time yesterday from 7:30. I didn't leave until 6 in the evening. So, having gotten up this morning to put all of that stuff back because the power was back on and our freezer was working, I was happy to be up because anybody that knows me knows that I don't drink coffee or energy drinks. Um, I don't drink coffee or energy drinks. This is just me all the time. So when I'm up, I'm up. So I was glad to be at work. It's never a chore for me to be at work. I love the people I work with. It's always a good time. So, life, liberty, and the pursuit of tuna. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just silly. Um, but yeah, everything's all good. We got stuff fixed for the most part of what I know. Um, Being a manager honestly is an incredible journey. It has taught me to be it continues to teach me what I already know, which is to be very patient, continue to be an active listener to everyone, and be willing to learn. And just because I happen to be older than most of the employees I work with, doesn't mean that I feel as though I am above them in any type of way other than my title. I am just as susceptible to learning something new from someone younger than me, as they are learning something of me as someone older than them. A lot of people don't realize, yes, I'm 30 years old, and I'll be 31, Lord willing, next month, October 2nd, which is creeping on a comma, baby. It's coming up, so I'm super excited. But you didn't come to hear me dribble. You don't have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your free time and spare time. Like, share, subscribe with your friends. Tell them if you want to hear a highly animated voice with wonderful stories to read for you, or if you have any specific suggestions of stuff you would like for me to read on this channel, please message me or comment the name and the title of the book or anything you would like. Of course, keep it PG because there are families that watch these videos. So, with all that getting out of the way, I don't own the music that's being played in the background. We are back with Lloyd Alexander's The Book of Three. Alright. So last time we met a new character named Gurgi, who's like a half-man, half-beast character. But trust me, there's more to Gurgi than you guess. Chapter 4. The Gwithates. Melangar bore them swiftly through the fringe of trees lining Great Avrin's sloping banks. They dismounted and hurried on foot in the direction Gurgi had indicated. Near a jagged rock, Gwydion halted and gave a cry of triumph. In a patch of clay, Henwin's tracks showed as plainly as if they had been carved. "Good for Gurgi!" exclaimed Gwydion. "I hope he enjoys his crunchings and munchings. Had I known he would guide us so well, I would have given him an extra share." "Yes, she crossed here," he would have, "and we shall do the same." Gwydion led Melangar forward. The air had suddenly grown cold and heavy. The restless Averin ran gray, slashed with white streaks. Clutching Melangar's saddle horn, Taran stepped gingerly from the bank. Gwydion strode directly into the water. Taran, thinking it easier to get wet a little at a time, hung back as much as he could, until Melangar lunged ahead, carrying him with her. His feet sought the river bottom. He stumbled and splashed, while icy waves swirled up to his neck. The current grew stronger, coiling like a gray serpent about Taran's legs. The bottom dropped away sharply. Taran lost his footing and found himself wildly dancing over nothing as the river seized him greedily. Melangar began to swim, her strong legs keeping her afloat and in motion, but the current swung her around. She collided with Taran and forced him under the water. "Let go of the saddle!" Gwydion shouted above the torrent. "Swim clear of her!" Water flooded Taran's ears and nostrils. With every gasp, the river poured into his lungs. Gwydion struck out after him, soon overtook him, seized him by the hair, and drew him toward the shallows. He heaved the dripping, coughing Taran onto the bank. Melangar, reaching shore a little further upstream, trotted down to join them. So he, grabbed him by his hair in order to get him out of there. Because had he not, Taran would have drowned. Not a good thing. Which is always good to take swimming lessons, kids. It's always important to take swimming lessons in case some things like this happen, so you can be prepared. Gwydion looked sharply at Taran. "I told you to swim clear. Are you all assistant pig keepers deaf as well as stubborn?" "I don't know how to swim," Taran cried, his teeth chattering violently. "Then why did you not say so before we started across?" Gwydion asked angrily. "I was sure I could learn," Taran protested, "as soon as I came to it. If Melangar hadn't sat on me—" "You mustn't learn to answer for your own folly," said Gwydion. "As for Melangar, she is wiser now than you can ever hope to become. And even should you live to be a man, which seems more and more unlikely..." Gwydion swung into the saddle and pulled up the soaked, bedraggled Taran. Melangar's hoofs clicked over the stones, Taran snuffling and shivering, looking around the waiting hills. High against the blue, tri-winged shapes wheeled and glided. Gwydion, whose eyes were everywhere at once, caught sight of them instantly. "Gwithates!" he cried, and turned Melangar sharply to the right. The abrupt change of direction and Melangar's heaving burst of speed threw Taran off balance. His legs flew up and he landed flat on the pebble-strewn bank. Gwydion reined in Melangar immediately. While Taran struggled to his feet, Gwydion seized him like a sack of meal and hauled him to Melangar's back. The Gwithates, which at a distance had seemed no more than dry leaves in the wind, grew larger and larger. As they plunged toward horse and riders, downward they swooped, their great black wings driving them ever faster. Melangar clattered up the riverbank. The Gwithates screamed above. It's the best way. It's the best way I'm gonna have to describe it. I can't really give them the serpentine sound that I want. Well, there we go. That works. Growl. There we go. We'll just have the Gwithates growl. At the end of the trees, Gwydion thrust Taran from the saddle and leapt down. Dragging him along, Gwydion dropped to the earth under an oak tree's spreading branches. The glittering wings beat against the foliage. Taran glimpsed curving beaks and talons, merciless as daggers. He cried out in terror and hid his face as the Gwithates veered off and swooped again. The leaves rattled in their wake. The creature swung upward, hung poised against the sky for an instant, and climbed swiftly and sped westward. White-faced and trembling, Taran ventured to raise his head. Gwydion strode to the riverbank and stood watching the Gwithates' flight. Taran made his way to his companion's side. I had hoped this would not happen, Gwydion said. His face was dark and grave. Thus far, I've been able to avoid them. Taran said nothing. He had clumsily fallen off Melangar at the moment when speed counted most. At the oak, he had behaved like a child. He waited for Gwydion's reprimand, but the warrior's green eyes followed the dark specks. Sooner or later they would have found us, Gwydion said. They are Aurorn's spies and messengers, the eyes of Anuvin, they are called. No one stays long hidden from them. We are lucky. They were only scouting and not on a blood hunt. He turned away as the Gwithates at last disappeared. Now they fly to their iron cages in Anuvin, he said. Aurorn himself will have news of us before this day ends. He will not be idle. If only they hadn't seen us, Taran moaned. There is no use regretting what has happened, said Gwydion, as they set out again. One way or another, Aurorn would have learned of us. I have no doubt he knew the moment I rode from Cardathel. The Gwithates are not his only servants. I think they might be the worst, said Taran, quickening his pace to keep up with Gwydion. Far from it, Gwydion said. The errand of the Gwithates is less to kill than to bring information. For generations they have been trained in this. Aurorn understands their language, and they are in his power from the moment they leave the egg. Nevertheless, they are creatures of flesh and blood, and sword can answer them. There are others to whom a sword means nothing, Gwydion said. Among them, the Cauldron-born, who serve Aurorn as warriors. Are they not men? Taran asked. They were once, replied Gwydion. They are the dead, whose bodies Aurorn steals from their resting places in the long burrows. It is said he steeps them in the cauldron to give them life again, if it can be called life. Like death, they are forever silent, and their only thought is to bring others to the same bondage. Aurorn Gar keeps them as his guards in Anuvin, for their power wanes the longer and farther they can be from their master. Yet from time to time, Aurorn sends certain of them outside Anuvin to perform his most ruthless tasks. These Cauldron-born are utterly without mercy or pity, Gwydion continued, for Aurorn has worked still greater evil upon them. He has destroyed that remembrance of themselves. As living men, they have no memory of tears or laughter, or sorrow or loving kindness. Among all Aurorn's deeds, this is one of the cruelest deeds. After much searching, Gwydion discovered Henwin's tracks once more. They led over a barren field into a shallow ravine. Here they stop, he said, frowning. Even on stony ground there should be some trace, but I can see nothing. Slowly and painstakingly he quartered the land on either side of the ravine. Though weary and discouraged, Taran could barely force himself to put one foot in front of the other, and was glad the dusk obliged Gwydion to halt. Gwydion tethered Melangar in a thicket. Taran sank to the ground and rested his head in his hands. She has disappeared too quickly. Said Gwydion, bringing provisions from the saddlebags. Many things could have happened. Time is too short to ponder each one. What can we do, then? Taran asked fearfully. Is there no way to find her? The shortest search is not always the shortest, said Gwydion, and we may need the help of other hands before it is done. There is an ancient dweller in the foothills of Eagle Mountains. His name is Medwin, and it is said he understands the hearts and ways of every creature in Prydain. He, if anyone, should know where Henwin may be hiding. If we could find him, Taran began. You are right in saying if, Gwydion answered. I have never seen him. Others have sought him and failed. We should have only faint hope, but that is better than none at all. A wind had risen, whispering among the black clusters of trees. From a distance came the lonely baying of hounds. Gwydion sat upright, tense as bowstring. Is that the Horde King? Cried Taran. Has he followed us this closely? Gwydion shook his head. No hounds bell like those, save the pack of Gwyn the hunter, and so he mused. Gwyn, too, rides abroad. Another of Aurorn's servants? Asked Taran, his voice betraying his anxiety. Gwen owes allegiance to a lord unknown even to me, Gwydion answered, and one perhaps greater than Arorn. Gwen the hunter rides alone with his dogs, and where he rides, slaughter follows. He is foreknowledge of death in battle, and watches from afar, marking the fall of warriors. Above the cry of the pack rose the long, clear notes of a hunting horn. Flung across the sky, the sound pierced Tarn's breast like a cold blade of terror, yet unlike the music itself, the echoes from the hills sang less of fear than of grief. Fading, they sighed that sunlight and birds, bright mornings, warm fires, food and drink and friendship and all good things had been lost beyond recovery. Gwydion laid a firm hand on Tarn's brow. Gwen's music is a warning, Gwydion said. Take it as a warning, for whatever profit that knowledge may be, but do not listen overmuch to the echoes. Others have done so, and have wandered hopeless ever since. A whinny from Mellingar broke Tarn's sleep. As Gwydion rose and went to her, Tarn glimpsed a shadow dart behind a bush. He sat up quickly. Gwydion's back was turned. In the bright moonlight, the shadow moved again. Choking back his fear, Tarn leapt to his feet and plunged into the undergrowth. Thorns tore at him. He landed on something that grappled. Frantically, he lashed out, seized what felt like someone's head, and an unmistakable odor of wet wolfhound assailed his nose. Yuck! Gurgi! Tarn cried furiously. You sneaking... The creature curled into an awkward ball as Tarn began shaking him. Enough, enough! Gwydion cried. Do not frighten the wits out of the poor thing. Save your own life next time, Tarn retorted angrily to Gwydion, while Gurgi began howling at the top of his voice. I should have known a great war leader needs no help from an assistant pig-keeper. Unlike assistant pig-keepers, Gwydion said gently, I scorn the help of no man. And you should know better than to jump into thorn bushes without first making sure what you will find. Save your anger for a better purpose. He hesitated and looked carefully at Tarn. Why, I believe you did think my life was in danger. If I'd have known it was only that stupid, silly Gurgi. The fact is, you did not, Gwydion said, so I shall take the intention for the deed. You may be many other things, Tarn of Caerdalban, but I see you are no coward. I offer you my thanks, he added, bowing deeply.
And what of poor Gurgi?
Howled the creature.
No thanks for him. Oh no, only smackings by great lords. Not even a small munching for helping find a piggy.
We didn't find any piggy, Tarn replied angrily. And if you ask me, you know too much about the Horned King. I wouldn't be surprised if you'd gone and told him.
No, no, the Lord of the Great Horns pursues wise, miserable Gurgi with leaping and galloping. Gurgi fears terrible smackings and whackings. He follows kindly and mighty protectors. Faithful Gurgi will not leave them, never.
And what of the Horned King? Gwydion asked.
Oh, very angry,
whined Gurgi.
Wicked lords ride with mumblings and grumblings because they cannot find a piggy.
Where are they now? Asked Gwydion.
Not far. They cross water, but only clever, unthinked Gurgi knows where, and they light fires with fearsome blazings.
Can you lead us to them? Gwydion asked. I would learn their plans. Gurgi whimpered questioningly.
Crunchings and munchings?
I knew he would get around to that, said Tarn. Gwydion saddled Mellingar, and clinging to the shadows, they set out across the moonlit hills. Gurgi led the way, loping ahead, bent forward, his long arms dangling. Kind of like Spider-Man crawling. It's kind of how he moves. They crossed one deep valley, then another, before Gurgi halted on a ridge. Below, the wide plain blazed with torches, and Tarn saw a great ring of flames.
Crunchings and munchings now?
Gurgi suggested. Disregarding him, Gwydion motioned for them all to descend the slope. There was little need for silence. A deep hollow drumming throbbed over the crowded plain. Horses whickered. There came the shouts of men and the clank of weapons. Gwydion crouched in the bracken, watching intently. Around the fiery circle, warriors on high stilts beat upraised swords against their shields. What are those men? Tarn whispered. And the wicker baskets hanging from the posts. They are the Proud Walkers, Gwydion answered, in a dance of battle, an ancient rite of war from the days when men were no more than savages. The baskets, another ancient custom best forgotten. But look there! The Horde Queen. The Horde King. I mean, that would be a twist. The Horde Queen. That'd be cool. I mean, but it's the Horde King. Just making that clear. Okay. And there, he exclaimed, pointing to the columns of horsemen, I see the banners of Catrev Regid, the banners of Dal Gledin and Maur, and I'm gonna try to say this right. Maur, M-A-W-R, all the Catrevs of the south. Yes, now I understand. Before Gwydion could speak, the Horde King, bearing a torch, rode to the wicker baskets and thrust the fire into them. Flames seized the osier cages. Billows of foul smoke rose skyward. The warriors clashed their swords and shields and shouted together with one another. From one voice, from the baskets rose the agonized screams of men. Taran gasped and turned away. We have seen enough, Gwydion ordered. Hurry, let us be gone from here. Dawn had broken when Gwydion halted at the edge of a barren field. Until now, he had not spoken. Even Gurgi had been silent, his eyes round with terror. This is a part of what I have journeyed so far to learn, Gwydion said. His face was grim and pale. Aurorn now dares try force of arms, with the Horned King as his war leader. The Horned King has raised a mighty host, and they will march against us. The Sons of Dawn are ill-prepared for so powerful an enemy. They must be warned. I must return to Cardathel immediately. From a corner of woodland, 5 mounted warriors cantered into the field. Taran sprang up. The first horseman spurred into a gallop. Melengar whinnied shrilly. The warriors drew their swords. And that is where we will end for today. Our little hero and the villain. It's terrifying, isn't it? Let me see. Hold on. Aha! So there's 20 chapters in this book. Not too bad. Oh! Forgot there's a glossary at the back, which is always very helpful. So, oh, they don't have Mar in here. Melalas, Melengar, Dolly, Dalvin, Caracoler. That's cool. So, I'll see you next time, y'all. Be good to each other. Have a good night. See ya.